Hello, my name is Brad Bodenhamer, and welcome to the Half a Dozen Hospitality Podcast, where we discuss everything hospitality, from the food on the plate to the teams that make it happen and the community that drives this industry forward. On this podcast, we sit down and chat with some of the most exciting, inspiring, and innovative minds that make up one of the most dynamic industries that there is today. And today, I have the pleasure of being joined by none other than Peter Leblanc, Sandra Bodenhamer, and Jen Candela. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. That is the first time in 65 episodes that I've successfully, after just 2 takes, introduced 3 people with both their first name and their last name. So
congrats.
Way to go.
It's a good way to start the Monday. Not really in line with what we're here to talk about today, but I also just love getting context for myself and for the listeners as well, finding out more about you guys personally, outside of what you do and why we're here today. And I'm a big fan of morning rituals and love to dig into other people's morning rituals. So can we go around the table and share what our morning ritual usually looks like on a Monday morning as we start the week? Peter, we'll start with you.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'm a big breakfast fan.
Okay.
So any day has to start with me having a sit-down breakfast, which is different than my wife. She's got something prepared. She goes in her bag. She eats it at her desk, and then I leave a little bit later. So I have that pleasure of sitting down and slowly having a breakfast before I head out for the day.
Now, are you someone, as you're eating, are you also consuming media? Are you a newspaper guy? Are you a social media guy? Do you have your phone out, or is it just you and your plate?
The phone goes away, and then over the last 2 or 3 weeks, pretty much since the new year, there's a book. So I'm now trying to get back into reading something that requires a longer attention span.
Okay, and what are you reading right now?
I'm reading Ian Rankin. He's a mystery writer from Scotland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Sandra, next. Morning routines. Do you have one? Can you share?
Sure. I have 2 girls. One's in kindergarten, one's in grade 3. So it's all about getting them ready for school.
Yes.
And we also have a dog. So me and my husband take shifts. One person will walk the dog and the other will make breakfast. And my kids are accustomed to a nice hot breakfast. So it's usually blueberry pancakes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So this morning I was on pancake duty. My husband walked the dog, and I was on drop-off duty as well.
And how did drop-off go today?
Yeah, my little kindergarten was a little bit sad today. I don't know why. I think she got scared because we've been talking about how cold it is and you have to dress really warm. And I think she was a little bit scared about having to walk to school from her after-school care, that her skin would crack or something.
Oh, really?
It's so cold. So
she walks from her school to after-school care by herself?
No,
okay.
Not by yourself.
I was going to say.
Yeah, it was a hard time getting out the door this morning, but I'm here.
You're here. Thank you so much for being here. Mm-hmm. And Jen, last, what does your morning routine look like?
Definitely coffee.
Yeah.
Coffee's number one. And then I think I spend most of the rest of the time hustling my 7-year-old out of bed to also get to the bus, which luckily is just down the steps from where I live. So there's no drop off involved, but, and then there's breakfast in there and, probably checking over social media, because that's what I do for the farmers markets.
Right.
And just monitoring different channels and sometimes cramming in a reading for one of the classes I'm doing, that sort of thing. So it's like a conglomeration.
Cool.
Then there's like eggs and kimchi,
Eggs and kimchi. I like that. The healthy gut. I like that.
Exactly.
So to give some context to the listeners and why we're sitting here this morning, it is Monday morning here in Vancouver. We are just after 9 a.m. No, just after 10. And the reason we are here is because, as you guys know, as listeners, we are executing what I've called the Half a Dozen Dinner Series, 6 dinners throughout 2019, and each dinner is associated with a local food-based charity. And I reached out to Vancouver Farmers Market when I had heard from actually a local farmer about this coupon program. And I've been a user of the Farmers Market for many years. I don't know if I was just ignorant towards it or didn't see it or just wasn't on my radar, but I was unaware this even existed. But when I found out it did, I was so excited to get involved with our dinner series and help donate to this cause. So can we add some context to what it is, why it exists, who's using it, et cetera, et cetera? I don't know who wants to field that one.
Sure. I'll start. So this is Peter again. I'm with the BC Association of Farmers Markets, and our office is here in Vancouver. But we operate a program that runs provincially that you are participating and contributing to. The Farmers Market Nutrition Coupon Program, it's been around since 2012. It's a provincially funded program from the Ministry of Health, and it's a pretty straightforward proposition. We work in a number of communities. In 2012, we had about a dozen, including Vancouver, one of our starting points. But now we're working with 65 communities across the province, all the way up to Terrace and on the island, the interior, the Kootenays, all over every single part of the province. And we form a relationship with a local farmers market that's a member of the association, and then a community partner that's working with our target populations of low-income families, low-income seniors, and pregnant women. And so the local partner gets booklet vouchers that are worth $21, and they get 16 weeks worth of $21 booklets, and they hand them out to people who are in their programs who could benefit from the input of fresh fruits and vegetables. And then they go to the local market where they form relationships and shop at the farmers market, picking up this fresh fruits and vegetables. And the program works in a very circular way in that the community participants receive the funds that they can use at the farmers market, and then the farmers also have this funds that they can keep in their community and support them and what they're doing and support local agriculture. And so that's the way it works. And about 3 years ago, we had some community partners that started adding to the point where there's people who couldn't get in the program, and so we're really appreciated when we can clear some waiting lists through initiatives such as you're doing too.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm super excited, like I said, to be involved. Sandra, can you add some context in regards to how this program affects what you do day in and day out and the people that you work with?
Yeah, sure. I'm the coordinator for Healthiest Babies Possible on the Youth Pregnancy and Parenting Program.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, 2 programs with Vancouver Coastal Health. We serve pregnant women and youth that are facing challenging life circumstances, and we support them through access to social services and food and nutrition counseling and health education. So this Farmers Market Nutrition Coupon Program was an excellent fit for our women. For a couple of reasons. It helps them get fresh food to have healthy babies, and it also it gets them out into the community. So the social interaction and learning to navigate their community. We work with a lot of immigrants, refugees, and people that are socially isolated. So they're always really happy to get out to the market.
Yeah, do they suffer from any sort of, for lack of a better term, like a stigma or like almost an imposter syndrome? Do they feel a certain way when they are taking these donations and taking these coupons? Do they feel like they're perpetuating a story, or are they just happy to have the opportunity and they're thankful? Or is that part of your job as well, to help them break down that barrier of like, this is okay, we're here to help, please get involved?
Well, we have many, many women in our program. I think we serve about 700 families a year between Vancouver and Richmond. So they're not going alone. They're going as a group. They're seeing that, there's other women in their same situation.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah. And most women are really happy. We do hand it out sort of discreetly, so everyone doesn't know that these are the people here getting free coupons. But, they can shop just like everyone else.
Good.
Yeah.
The reason I asked that question is I sat down with, the Salvation Army a few weeks ago, and Vienne, the woman that looked after this particular chapter of the Salvation Army, was telling a story of when she used to be a chaplain down on East Hastings, and she would help. She would help mothers that are coming from like a prostitution background, and she would have to go grocery shopping with them because if they went alone, they would be followed in the grocery store by the staff. So there's this stigma that we as a general population, rightly or wrongly, probably wrongly, we're associating with these people. And I'm so glad to hear that through this program, there's a sense of community and these women are being supported by each other and obviously by what you're doing as well. It's a sad reality. I think that, one, this even has to exist, but then 2, to put people in a box as well and kind of I don't know, paint them with a brush they probably don't deserve to be painted with when they are using these resources.
Mm-hmm. The other really nice thing about this program, as opposed to, say, other great programs, but in this program you have choice. So you get your coupons, you can choose which market you want to spend them, and you can choose what you want to purchase with them. So I think that it has a lot of dignity associated with that you're getting to choose what you do.
Yeah, definitely.
With the coupons.
Jen, let's talk about what you're doing right now and how what you do, in your own opinion, impacts this program on the whole.
Okay. So I guess my chief role with the FMNCP / Fresh to Families, which is our sort of expansion project in Vancouver of the FMNCP, I fundraise for it.
Mm-hmm.
I also do a lot of communications around it, mostly fundraising related communications. I try and gather stories from the participants and just generally raise awareness for the program. The Vancouver Farmers Markets has been working with the FMNCP, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like since around 2007 even, there was some kind of program happening at the markets. And so, yeah, I've been involved since then because I've been with the market since 2007.
Do you feel like, I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, but do you feel like the fact that as a user of Vancouver Farmers Markets for probably, I'm going to say, I've been living here now for 12 years, so 10 years probably using the markets, and this not being on my radar, is that something that Vancouver Farmers Markets is aware of, it not being top of mind? And what can we do besides a podcast like this to really help promote this program so that general population understands that this exists, we can give to it, and we can affect some pretty amazing change?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely aware of that problem. We get people coming to the markets all the time, like when we had the ministry announcement last year, when they announced additional funds for the program, and people were just like, wow, this is amazing. I haven't heard about this. And, I think in communications, there's just a lot of stuff going on in the world these days. So to get anyone's individual attention for any particular thing, particularly around charitable stuff, I feel like there's like thousands of charities that people can give to, and there's also so many different programs that we run at the markets that we feel we have to draw attention to, just the basic sort of promotions of our vendors and agriculture and food and all those issues, and then to layer this on top, I mean, it's just a lot to talk about. And and how do you talk about it in an effective way? And I think it just takes time to raise awareness, and obviously the right channels. So so thank you for this opportunity.
Oh yeah, no, my pleasure. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to add more context to it. I'm looking forward to learning more myself about it as I go through this interview today, and then obviously using the farmers market more and more, and then seeing how these dollars that we're raising through this dinner do get used. So Peter, you were saying 16 weeks, $21 value. So, Sandra, are you and your colleagues then kind of dividing that up and dictating who gets what, and how does that work? Like, logistically, how does that look?
So what we've done is we talk about it with our clients in our programs and in our one-to-one sessions. We sign up whoever's interested, and we generate a list, and we've kind of done it as a first come, first serve. So we haven't excluded anyone. And if we run out of coupons a little bit early, at least we've used all the coupons and given the opportunity, because we've already screened people that come into our program. We know that they're facing challenges. So we didn't want to have to pick between our participants. Right. As long as they're living in the Vancouver area.
Do you want to add to that, Peter?
Yeah, I want to add too, because in Sandra's program in particular, you have a large need and it's unmet. So we have some more work to do to get you some more spots. But across the province, typically an organization will get, let's say, 30 or 40 spots. Then they will select amongst the group of people they're working with, those 30 or 40 people, who will receive them every week for 16 weeks during the summer season. So they'll come into the program, they'll participate in the programming there. They might get it every week, every other week, and then they can shop at the market. If you get coupons in week 1, you can spend it in week 1, but you can also spend it at the last week anytime during the season. So as Sandra mentioned, you have choice about when you buy, how you can shop, because we know that while Vancouver, you can pretty much shop at a farmer's market every day of the week, and in other communities, almost every day of the week. Yeah. In other communities, the market runs 1 day a week for a couple of hours. And so we give them the chance to shop when it makes sense for them. Sometimes it means with other people, with their kids,
Right.
around other activities. And so they're coming in every week. And then the coupons that they're getting have some criteria associated with them, which are fairly generous. They're able to buy fruits and vegetables. This is a Ministry of Health program, so that's the focus. Meat, eggs, cheese, nuts, and fresh cut herbs. So there are some items that you can find at a farmer's markets that are excluded because the focus is primarily on fresh fruits and vegetables. And then our community partners are excellent at supporting them if they are, let's say, a newcomer and encountering unusual produce, that they have some ability to learn how to work with it. And while our partners can do that, I'm sure, Jen, you've seen this happens with farmers all the time. Anything that they provide, you talk to them for a minute about what to do with it as a customer, with or without a coupon. They're into it. They know the health benefits. They know how to prepare it. They'll ask you next week whether or not you liked what you suggested. And if they don't, they'll give you another idea and another recipe. So we feel that's another fantastic thing about the program, is that connection people can have with farmers who are passionate about what they're growing. So that's how it kind of works. And then a lot of people end up having a relationship with their favorite farmers and their favorite farmers market. They even get, in addition to you're mentioning some of the stigma associated with it, we get a lot of feedback about how people who have coupons feel philanthropic because they're able to choose who gets their money, the money that they get to choose. And they say like that, I want to reward that vendor for an awesome display, for, treating his customers well, for sometimes, making suggestions or spending a little extra time to understand, so that it's really it's a magical thing to see.
If only we all could have that paradigm with our dollars and really feel that way. Because I think, I'm guilty of it myself. Sometimes just so blindly spending $5 here, $20 there, but not really thinking about the impact that it has down the line. Something that I was actually, that I learned a few weeks ago, I sat down with one of your vendors, Aurora View Farms. They populate the Riley Park. They're a cattle farm. They're a husband and wife, a family operated cattle farm in Prince George. And I sat down with Matt, the husband, as they're donating product for our very first dinner coming up in February on the 23rd. And he was saying that when he and Elizabeth, his wife, found out about this program, they actually adjusted the price of some of their products so that would fall in line with the coupons. So I wanted to ask you guys here today, is that something that you are communicating with the vendors? Are they aware of, like, these are the coupons, this is the value? And are you asking them to do that? Or would someone like Matt and Elizabeth from Aurora View Farms, they just doing that out of the kindness of their heart?
So I think if they're savvy, they do it.
Right.
And we certainly have tried to encourage them over and over again over the years that, that's a great marketing technique, particularly at the markets where the coupon participants come. Main Street on Wednesdays is a huge market for the nutrition coupon program. So the vendors there have figured out, let's do things in $3 bundles, that sort of thing. So yeah.
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart. And also very, from where I stand, it's also very thoughtful and considerate to adjust.
Yeah. And
as someone who is very blessed to have the reality that I have, that I can pay an extra $1 or $2 for a product, I'm more than happy to do that if it facilitates someone else who maybe doesn't have the opportunity to get $1 or $2 off. And I think if we all did that and all had that mindset, it would be pretty powerful. One thing I like to ask a lot of my guests on this show, because I feel like everyone I sit down with creates something in some way. They're creating something, whether it is an architect or a designer or a head chef or a restaurateur. Everyone is creating something. So what you guys are doing is creating, in my opinion, from where I stand, an experience and an engagement. So Sandra, if you don't mind, can you articulate what it feels like for you viscerally when you see someone or have heard of someone that is successfully using this program and it is directly impacting them in a very positive way? Like, what emotions do you feel, like, to the marrow of your bones? Is it pride? Is it joy? Do you shed a tear? What are you feeling when you see a program like this and this partnership coming to life and affecting people's lives that need it.
Yeah, it makes me and the staff so happy. We actually go to the market. We go to Main Street Market and give out the coupons so we can actually see how the clients are using them. And we've heard stories like, you know, we serve a lot of immigrants and refugees, and they say, there's stuff like this back in my country. I didn't know that this was here. Or this reminds me of, you know, my grandma's backyard. The food is so fresh. It's so delicious. They're so happy to get out to the markets, and it's a highlight for our staff too, to, you know, we take turns signing up who's going to come to the market, and everyone's really eager to sign up and get outside. And it's just a lovely experience for the clients and the staff. It is our most popular program. We had, you know, over 110 families participate last summer.
Amazing. I mean, it's amazing that they're participating, but I'm also challenged by the fact that it even has to exist. That's a whole other conversation that I'm learning as I sit down with people like yourselves and the Salvation Army and the Greater Vancouver Food Bank. I'm really blown away by the amount of people that are forced to use these resources. And it's a reality that I hope that I can help facilitate some change with that through this podcast and through other initiatives with like the dinner series, et cetera, but just education as well. Jen, do you want to shed some light in regards to how you react? Like, what are the visceral feelings you have when you're seeing or hearing stories from people that Sandra work with engaging in the farmers market and benefiting from this program?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that comes to mind is major job satisfaction.
Yeah.
You know, I get a lot of satisfaction from lots of elements of my job. I get to help farmers. I get to connect with community regularly and other amazing people like Peter and the BCFM. But when it comes down to it, the coupon program is probably my favorite part of my job. And I really feel like, you know, on a kind of micro level, there's some effective change happening. You know, there's some wonderful things happening for the participants, for the farmers, you know, because they also benefit from that. You know, they also want to, you know, be of help to their communities and to connect with people in need. So, yeah, I mean, it's a big warm fuzzy for all of us for sure. Yeah. And I guess the other thing, you know, when I get contacted by people who need coupons, you know, it lights a fire in me. Like, we need to raise more money for this, or there needs to be like sweeping systemic changes, actually. Yeah. But in the meantime, I'm too pragmatic to not, you know, think, well, you know, let's make the best of the situation and raise more money. So,
Peter, how about for yourself in regards to reactions viscerally? Like, what are you feeling when you see this program executed from start to finish and those families being impacted by it positively?
Well, we sit in a unique position whereby we get a lot of feedback about the impact of the program from both sides. So we have in our office here, and I can show you, podcast listeners. Sorry about that, but I'll show Brad. Yeah. We get letters from people that say, like, I haven't been able to eat a peach for 10 years because I just haven't been able to afford it. Or someone said, my doctor told me that my health is going to get worse unless I eat better. And I've been able to eat great all summer and my health has improved. And so we get these in the office, and Talia and I, my colleague who works on the program with me, it kind of brings it does literally bring tears to our eyes sometimes. And then when we were talking with and meeting with farmers and farmers markets, who, when you look at it, you know, it's tough to be a farmer. It's probably as tough to be a farmer as it is to be a restaurateur, you know, and so for them, the margins are super small. And this is a program where when people come and give them $3, they're selling it for their price. They're selling it to everyone else, and we're giving them $3. They don't have to take a break on it. They get their full price. And it's making markets stronger, and it's making farmers saying, we're going to grow more. We're going to actually keep doing this, because the coupon program may only add another 10 or 20% in their money box every week. But sometimes that's the difference to keep them going for another year and keep the land in production. And so it's, as Jen said, job satisfaction. It's really rewarding to do something where you feel as if it's a very positive contribution, and everyone who's involved feels as if it's of benefit to them.
Almost like the term like social capital, like you're taking so much from it outside of just the dollars, right? Like that to me is so inspiring. Like, if I was a farmer, that I could facilitate helping someone through this program, like, it just, like you said, the warm fuzzies, like, why would you not want to be a part of that? And I feel like, not to paint everyone with the same brush, not to speak so generally, but everyone that I've come in contact with at the farmers market, whether it be farmers market employees, part of me, or the vendors. Like, everyone is just there for the right reason. It's a really amazing space to be in. I've loved seeing the growth that has happened at our local farmers markets in this city. I know I don't know if it has always been called Riley Park. I used to call it what's the baseball stadium?
Nat Bailey.
Nat Bailey.
Up until last year, it was Nat Bailey.
Okay, cool. But I remember Nat Bailey 3 years ago looked a heck of a lot different than it does now. It's now grown across the street and around the corner. Like, it's huge. And I think that to me is inspiring, even outside of what we're doing here today, what we're talking about, just looking at food and how this system works. Like, the fact that so many vendors are able to come and make money and make a living and want to come back and be involved in the community. I really do feel like we're starting to make the right moves when it comes to food. We still have a lot of work to do. But I applaud everything that you guys have done with Vancouver Farmers Markets, because it's great seeing that growth it's experienced. Now, with the good, there is bad. And I'm learning now at the age of 36 that there is this thing called dualism. And dualism is a very, real thing. Dualism basically says you can't have healthy food without unhealthy food. You can't have hot without cold. You can't have good without bad. So let's talk about challenges with this program, or challenges that you guys are facing in your roles today in making this a reality and impacting change. So what challenges are you facing? How challenging are they? And how close are we to getting beyond those? Sandra, we'll start with you.
Sure. So I think we face two major challenges. The first one is that this program operates only in the summer months. And we're looking and trying to see if there's a way we could expand it to the winter months, because there are winter markets that are happening. Mm-hmm. So clients love it. Like I said, they're so jazzed through the summer, and then it drops off. Right. And next year, because of the way our programs run, they might not be in the program anymore. They might not qualify for the program anymore. So if there was a way to make it run all year long, that would be wonderful. And the second one for us is that we serve the city of Richmond as well. And so far, the city of Richmond has not participated. You have to apply to the market, and a partner has to apply together to be able to offer the coupons. So this year we are applying for Richmond. Mm-hmm. I'm working on that grant this afternoon. So hopefully we'll be able to expand it to the pregnant women that need it in Richmond as well.
Peter, challenges?
So yeah, the challenges, as Sandra mentioned, that that it's an expensive program to operate year round, and so that's there. We're impacting a lot of people, but there are many more people who would benefit from the program. So we're not able to reach everyone. We're able to make a change in those who participate, but there's more, and farmers, the markets for farmers year round, and their ability to produce for it, we need to build that up too. Mm-hmm. So yes, in Vancouver, we can certainly we want to explore a year-round market. In fact, last week we were just meeting with our colleagues at the Ministry of Health, and we were talking about what's our long-range vision. And so we pitched them, some more spots, some new communities. But how about if we pilot this program in 3 communities that operate year-round? And pick one in Vancouver, maybe one on the island, one in the interior, and just see how that works. So I think those are some of the challenges that are there, and then the seasonality of markets means that if you're filling your table, year round, again, we're so used to a global food economy now that you can access certain products year round, but at a farmer's markets, it's very seasonal. So just people's ideas of what they want and when they want it and what they can get at a market and being able to adapt to that's something definitely has to be addressed for this program, but all people who are buying food in British Columbia and wanting to support local.
Definitely. Jen, for yourself, challenges?
I mean, I echo a lot of what you're saying, Peter. I think for us, just knowing that there's so much need in Vancouver, and us not being able to do anything about it at the moment is a point of frustration. It feels sometimes like it's a bit of a Band-Aid solution, and as far as capacity goes, I mean, I think our vendors are there. You know, I think we could actually go year round, no problem. There's plenty of food at the markets. But I think the capacity building in terms of like teaching people, you know, how to prepare that food in the winter, like we've always wanted to do so much work around that, like food education, food preparation, have chefs come to the markets, you know, do sort
like
of
a live demo.
Exactly. Live demo, even an Instagram demo, all that kind of stuff. Like we know that, you know, all those things are possibilities that we would love to do in terms of food education, but it's capacity building for us as an organization as well. Cause you know, we do have, you know, 7 markets to run every week at the end of the day. Right. But I think really, again, it just comes down to finding more money for the program, getting more coupons into the hands of the people that need them. Cause I really feel like there's probably thousands of people in Vancouver who could access this program.
Yeah, I forget the number that I received from the team over at the Greater Vancouver Food Bank, but I want to say in the last year, and don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that's what they said, they've noticed a 30% increase in usage in a year. And that to me is just so wrong in so many different ways. And I asked them, because I'm just an inquisitive person, like why? Like why? Like, and they can't really right now put a finger on it. But again, for me, as someone who affords a fridge full of food and cupboards full of food, I struggle with that reality that we face in this city that we're sitting in right now. There are hundreds, if not thousands of people that don't have the ability to eat those nutritious foods. So I applaud you guys for doing what you're doing today. And as challenging as it is at times, it's also very rewarding because you get to go to the market and you get to see them use the program and you get those letters. And I feel like those instances are the fuel that we all need to keep going, because there's I was sitting down with do you guys know Veronique Campbell from UBC Farm?
Oh yeah.
Yep,
Yeah,
for sure.
so she was on the show a few weeks ago, and she was saying it'd be so easy for us just to go back into bed and pull the duvet over our heads and just stay there, because there are still so many gaps that need to be filled. But there are also some great stories to be shared, and I feel like the story that we're sharing today is one of those. There's still a lot of work to do, but I feel like the fact that we're here, that we're having conversations, the fact that this exists is a great, great thing. Can we give more context, though, to myself and the listeners of, obviously, who you're dealing with is a very specific demographic, but you mentioned immigrants, like ages, demographic. Can paint a picture of who these people actually are, so we, myself and listeners, actually know, are they younger, are they older, are they Canadian, are they who is using this?
At Healthiest Babies Possible, we get the full gamut. Lately, there's been influx of Syrian refugees, so we see a lot of them, and they have large families, so they're really keen to use the program. We have, you know, Indigenous clients as well, Canadian clients, single mothers, you know, working poor families, immigrants from all over. We have, lately as well, we have Mexican families coming from the States as refugees. So, yeah.
Interesting.
A full range. And as I mentioned, we have a youth pregnancy and parenting program. So that's women under 24 that are pregnant and parenting.
Huh.
And for them, a lot of them haven't learned food skills, as Jen was mentioning. So we do a lot of programming as well. We have a food skills support worker, and she does food demos. We've done the Food Skills for Families program so that we can get young women excited about fruits and vegetables and other things that they can find at the market, and how to cook some of those items as well. So it's interesting because oftentimes in our program, we've separated programs for the women over 25 and the women under 25, but we've opened this program to both, and we find that it's really popular among all demographics that we serve.
Yeah, and I can just imagine, I haven't ever recognized or at least witnessed it at the Main Street Farmers Market, but I can just envision this community of women coming together of all different ages, and maybe the ones that are 10 years older helping out the younger ones identify like what they can really do with a zucchini or a tomato. And I think that's so cool that they can kind of feel that independence and have that support through their community, which is great. How much of what you guys are doing day in and day out do you feel like is educating, whether it is your users or the public or each other? How big is education in what you're doing, and what does that look like? Jen, you want to go first?
I mean, I guess it depends on how you define education. You know, I do a lot of promotions, and I feel like every time I promote a dairy farmer or, you know, a new vendor who makes kombucha or whatever, that's an opportunity to talk about food, you know, and, you know, various aspects of food. Yeah, I mean, gosh, that's a hard question to answer. 50% of the time? I don't know.
A lot of the time.
A lot of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. As much as possible.
Yeah. Sandra, for yourself, I'm assuming a lot.
I think I'm thinking about education with the public in terms of why programs such as these are needed. I'm a dietitian myself. That's my background. But, you know, healthy eating is not necessarily, as we've learned or as we come to know it, as a lifestyle choice. I can't stand that term, lifestyle choice. If you have to choose between housing and healthy food, what's your lifestyle choice going to be? So, yeah, I guess just educating the general public that it's really hard. The cost of eating in BC, there's a report on that, and it's really expensive to feed a family of 4 what, you know, Canada recommends people to be eating.
Right.
So, you know, what's your choice going to be?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. I was reading a report. Actually, it was something that Viarni Campbell shared with me. It was looking at what the average family back in 1960, I believe, in Canada spent as a household on food and what they spend now, and it's just astronomical. Back then, it was something like 60% of the household income was spent on food, and now it's something like below 30%. It's amazing, and I say amazing in a shocking and not a great way. So hopefully, we're able to facilitate that number going back up and getting the right products in people's mouths. Peter, for yourself, education?
Well, absolutely. I think a large part of our role is making farmers markets better, so that they're welcoming for people who are in the program. So we're always passing along ways to make the experience better for people in the program, which makes the experience better for all customers. We're working with our community partners who are having to interact with people who may or may not have a lot of experience with farmers markets. And we're working with them on how to eat, how to think seasonally, how to be thinking about buying in bulk, how to think about, you know, shopping at a place that's different than a supermarket where there's 100 different stalls with 100 different cash registers. So you have to have all these various interactions. So we're doing that on a constant basis. And then because this program is starting to catch notice in other jurisdictions, we're spending a lot of time working with our colleagues in other provinces, Alberta, Ontario, Quebec, Nova Scotia. Even the Federal Ministry of Agriculture has reached out to ask about this program.
Oh, good. It's about time.
Yep.
That's great. Is this something I wanted to ask as I was coming here today? Is this program something that was, I hate to use the term organic, but did it grow organically within this province, or was someone traveling somewhere and they saw it? And the reason I ask is I just did a podcast with a fellow restaurant consultant. Actually, she's from Vienna, and I was telling her about this program. And farmers markets there in Austria are very, very popular, but they don't have anything like this. And she was talking about the discrepancy between the affordability of food and those that can't afford it. And I mentioned this program, and she was just like blown away by, oh, this is such an innovative program. So can we celebrate someone else coming up with this first, or is this BC grown?
We can celebrate our twist on it, but certainly the folks who brought it together in 2007, and I said it started in 2012 with the Ministry of Health, but we did get some pilot funding before my time, but when Jen was still around in 2007 through 9. And at that time, they looked at the fact that in the United States, there's a food benefit programs, food stamps or SNAP benefits as they're called now. And farmers markets got in the middle of it, saying, can people use their SNAP benefit at farmers markets? And they said, yes, you can. They're like, because we give them out as in some way as vouchers. So yeah, you can. And then they changed to being card based. So they gave them kind of effectively a reloadable debit card. And then farmers markets, how do they deal with that? So all of a sudden farmers markets, that the usage collapsed. And so they've spent a lot of time coming back to being a place where people who are getting food benefits can choose to go to a grocery store, 7-Eleven, or a farmer's market and use those benefits. And so in the States, they have programs to incentivize people to spend their dollars there. So they get extra funding, extra dollars if they shop at a farmer's market, thanks to some philanthropic support. And so then we looked at what would be a made in BC program, because we don't have, people do receive funding if they're on social assistance to help cover their food, but it's bundled in with other funds to cover everything else, including shelter and whatnot. So it's hard to get that discreetly available as an amount. So we had to create our own currency, create our own system, create our own relationships. And one of the things that's pretty amazing about the program is that while we have, over 4,000 people are involved with the program, and each week they're getting $21 worth of coupons. So that's 7 coupons times 16 weeks times 4,000 people at 65 markets. We send all those coupons out, and then 92% of them arrive back in the office. And so the engagement and the usage with this program is extraordinary. And so it's a real sign that it works, because if it wasn't something that worked, we would see much fewer coupons arriving back after having been cashed out by farmers by 980 different farmers across the province.
Did you want to add to that, Jen? You don't have to. I thought I saw you out of my periphery, kind of shaking your head up and down in agreement.
Oh, I guess I was thinking about the various programs I've researched, because essentially Vancouver Farmers Markets runs an expansion fund for the BCAFM's ministry funding. And so when we were thinking about that and we were approached by VCH dietitians to do that, I started researching what other farmers markets in the States have done, and so there's all these matching funds that happen at so many different farmers markets in the States for the SNAP program benefits. So and then I was just nodding my head because of the redemption rate being so high compared to SNAP benefits in the States, which I think I've heard as low as 12%. I don't know if that's
probably at farmers markets, right? So they're choosing to do their shopping at other places. I'm sure they're accessing their benefits, but the redemption at markets here, because we're locked into farmers markets. We're in the middle of this program, so we want to keep it at markets, and I think it makes the program better because of that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm always intrigued whenever I get involved with any charity, if I'm giving $1 or $5 or 20 or 500, what that money does. So I've loved sitting down with each and every one of you in regards to the charities that we're involved with to help articulate and describe what $1 will do when it comes in. So when we cut you guys a check at the end of this dinner in August, what is that money going towards? What is it doing? What changes is it having? How is it impacting?
Well, I mean, I think one thing that we haven't spoken about explicitly yet is the fact that this is such a double benefit program. Like, it benefits the families, so that dollar goes directly to the families, and then the families bring it to the markets and spend it directly with a farmer. So it's benefiting the families, obviously, and it's benefiting food security and keeping farmers farming, as Peter was saying earlier, and keeping that land in production. So to me, it's like a dollar that's twice spent. Right.
That's amazing.
Double impact.
Like that. So the dinner that we are partnering with you guys on, I'm not sure if the three of you are aware, but it will be happening in August at YVR Prep. I don't know if you guys know YVR Prep. It's in Burnaby. They do some amazing community initiatives themselves. So one of their owners, Josh McWilliams, will be facilitating the dinner. We'll be hosting 60 guests in their location. Those tickets will be on sale. By the time this airs, they will be on sale in a few weeks. And those will be $100 per seat, and every single penny from that will be going back to this program, which is so nice because we've been supported by so many great sponsors. I'm going to forget some of you, and I apologize, but Whole Foods, Fieldhouse Brewing, SJM Agency, Pacific Restaurant Supply, the Flour Factory, who am I forgetting? Grain. So many people are stepping up and facilitating this great program. And I know that I was listening before we turned the mics on. You guys are talking about Whole Foods. They already do give to this program, which is amazing. So they're doubling down now, which is so great to see them sponsoring this dinner helping us facilitate the menu and then giving as well outside of this.
That's great.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I'll have to talk to, Grant about
Grant,
that.
yeah, so
Thank
Grant-
you, Whole
Daisley.
Foods.
Yeah, thank you, Whole Foods.
Yes.
Yeah, Grant's been great. So basically what we're doing is, again, to give you guys more context, with each dinner, again, is associated with a local food-based charity. We are associated with a local chef, and then we're highlighting a local farm. So that farm is donating everything for free to us for, in this case, for Josh to use on the menu. And then how Whole Foods is helping out is they're helping round out the menu because, as Peter was alluding to, there are a lot of seasonality restraints at times. We don't necessarily have an abundance of olive oil in this province. So Whole Foods stepped
Not yet,
up.
anyway.
Yeah, not yet. So thank you so much for all the sponsors making this happen. This show, U3, is called the Half a Dozen Hospitality Podcast. And generally speaking, this show is very conversational and there's nothing scripted. And four of us, have just been chatting about this program and why it exists. But there are two questions that I ask every single guest. You guys get off a little bit easier today because there's three of you, so you can attack it as a team, which I think is great. So the two questions go like this. The first question is the half a dozen have-tos. Stay with me here. So I need from each of you two, because 6 divided by 3 is 2. So I need from from each of you, I need 2 of your have-tos, meaning share with myself and the listeners things you've experienced in your life that you feel like our listeners have to experience, whether it's related to what you do as a profession or not, whether it's a book you're reading, a trip you've taken, a meal you've eaten, a bottle of wine you've drank, a language you've learned, to help us understand better who you are as people outside of what you're doing here today. We need 2 from each of you, and we'll start on my right with Jen.
Oh, dear. Now I feel really on the spot. The one thing that kind of comes to mind is you have to do a bike trip through Europe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's
Cool.
really great. And if you can pull it off, Camp Wild, because that's like a completely different
Yeah.
experience in Europe than in Canada.
When did you do that?
That was 2015.
Oh,
No,
cool.
sorry, 2005. What am I saying?
Oh, wow.
2005. Yeah. And as part of that, I also worked on some organic farms. So I did some woofing,
Okay, cool.
which is another thing you have to do. Just go and work on a farm for a day.
That was easy. You did 2, just like that. Done. Jen's off the hook. Sandra, over to you.
I'm gonna say you have to visit New Orleans.
Oh, yeah? What about it?
It's so different. It's just so different. And while you're there, you have to have a beignet and
Yes.
coffee
When-
at
when were you-
Café du Monde
Café du Monde. When were you there?
last year in February. Actually, that's
Oh, good.
probably why it's on my mind.
Oh, wow, cool.
But it's just amazing. The music. It wasn't even Mardi Gras, but there was parades, like several parades on the street all the time. The energy, really good food, really friendly, outgoing people. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Why was that on your radar, if you don't mind me asking? Like, why did you guys end up going to New Orleans in the first place?
I guess I've just read a lot of books about it, and there's a lot of magic there.
Yeah. Will you go back?
I hope so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I could have done more. I didn't get out to the bayou.
No?
No.
Do you want to do your second have-to right now, or do you want Peter to do his first and then come back to you? Or do you have it already?
I have one.
Okay, cool.
I think, first of all, you have to know how to swim to do this, but I think everyone should try surfing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in BC and you have
Mhm.
access to this beautiful coast.
Right.
Or if you don't, come to BC.
Yeah, and it's not as cold as people think it is once you
pretty-
have the wetsuit on anyways.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's freezing.
Yeah, it's pretty
I've
cold.
tried it.
Wetsuit?
I've
Oh,
tried
I've
it.
gone in November to Fino.
Yeah, it's beautiful though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you are traveling here, hit up Tofino, and then on your way back on a Saturday or a Sunday, go to the farmer's market.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plug. Peter, over to you for your 2 have-tos.
Yeah, so so the first one that I think is you have to eat something that you eat here where it actually comes from. So I just remember the unbelievable, mind-blowing experience of having a banana in a country where bananas are grown. They taste so different. They taste like strawberries and
Yes.
blueberries do here, which we know are magic.
Mm-hmm.
But a banana or a pineapple, where it comes from is so key. So whatever it is that you eat and enjoy here, have it somewhere where it actually lives.
Yeah, where it's from. And they look different too. I find the bananas, like a real banana, is like a lot smaller, and there's seeds all through it, and
sweeter and warm. It's just
Where did you have this banana?
In Sri Lanka.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, I won't say everybody needs to go to Sri Lanka because that can be challenging, but it just pick something that's there, local there. You happen to be in New Orleans. I mean, maybe New Orleans it's a vignette. Georgia, it's a peanut. Things like that. Yeah.
What's your last have to?
Well, don't take this at I'm trying to do anything other than I would encourage people you must go on a podcast. I felt nervous before this was coming up because I'm a long-time listener.
Thank you, Peter.
First-time caller, and so I wasn't sure how it would go, but if you can be on a podcast with Brad as your host, I think that's a must-do.
I'll give you that $20 after the show. You know what? It's so funny, and I'll go on my diatribe at the end, but I love sitting down with people like yourselves because before today, I didn't know you guys. And now I feel like for some reason we put a mic in front of our face and headphones on and we hit record. I now sincerely consider you guys to be friends. If I saw you on the street, I would say, hey, how are you? What's going on? What's new? When's the last time you had a really good banana? There's something very special about sitting around a table and doing something like this where all those barriers are dropped and we just have a very candid conversation. But going back to what you were saying about the nerves are very, very normal, but I find about 5 minutes in, you kind of forget that you have a headphones on and you forget that you have a mic, and it's just talking about what we're talking about. So thank you, the three of you, for making time today, because time is, in my opinion, the most valuable thing that we all have, and you guys gave yours to this show and the listeners and myself today. So thank you so much for doing that. Before I continue with the diatribe, I do have my last question for you. It is the half a dozen haven't yets. So same idea. I need from each of you 2, but this is kind of like a bucket list, if you will. So I need 2 items from each of you of something that you've yet to experience, but you really, really want to experience. She's ready to go.
Well, I have definitely my first one because my husband is in a lot of bands.
Okay. Can we give him a plug on the show?
He's kind of in between right now.
Okay.
So yeah, he's formulating various let's just say he has a lot of projects, has been in a lot of bands. Okay. And is the consummate performer. And I love singing, and I can play the guitar, but I've never actually been on stage.
You have a mic right now. Do you want to? We can be your audience. No. Sandra, Peter, and we're open to it.
No.
We'll drop a beat.
It's not going to happen right here, right now, but definitely I'd love to get up on stage and sing at some point in my life.
I always love this question, because then it leads me to asking this question. Can myself and the listeners, and we're now reaching roughly 10,000 people around the globe. Wow. Can we hold you accountable to this? And if so, when?
Oh, geez. I don't know. I'm at art school right now, so I'm also focusing on becoming a superstar artist. So
okay.
No, not at all. Not at all. Just trying to finish my BFA. But and that's the other thing. That would be my second one is to finish my fine arts degree.
What's the timeline on that?
Oh gosh, I'm doing part-time, so probably 2025.
Okay.
Look for me then.
We'll look you
up. The
up.
Emily Card grad show.
Yeah, amazing. Sandra, haven't yet.
Sure. So I do hope in my lifetime that I'll visit all continents of the world, and I haven't been to Africa or Antarctica yet.
Those only 2?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So those are on my bucket list.
Yeah.
But the other one is I have a dream about starting a nonprofit society. Okay. One day maybe you can help me with. Yeah. I would love to have a restaurant that was free, that people could be nominated to, have a few meals there with them or their family, and get served a really nice, healthy, delicious meal, again with dignity.
It's so interesting. Before we turn on the mics as well, I was eavesdropping a bit of conversation that Jen and Sandra were having in regards to raising funds and the challenges that can challenges you can face when you're doing that. And we won't name any names, but Jen, you were mentioning someone that you were sitting down with, and they said you need to maybe stop asking people in the food industry because we don't make any money. And part of the issue that I have in my role as a consultant is changing the framework of how we even talk about our industry, because we're just perpetuating the story of you can't make money in this industry. And I challenge that because there are literally people making millions of dollars in this industry. There's 3 gentlemen who started a company in a restaurant called Sweet Green down in the US. I don't know if you guys know it. Healthier fare, really quick service. They have now 10 locations, and they just got approved for a $1 billion valuation. That means each of the restaurants is worth $10 million.
Wow.
That's a big number. So it can be done, but so many of us are used to the story of you can't make any money in a restaurant. It's a bad business to get into. So yes, I would love to one day sit down with you and figure out how we can feed people for free and make it high quality, amazing food and have it a super cool spot with dope music, and maybe Jen will come sing.
No.
Awesome.
No?
But I will come eat.
Okay, perfect. For free. Perfect. Peter, over to you for your haven't yets.
Sure. I used to have a dream to own a camper van.
Okay.
But I've now changed it to I just like to spend a couple nights in a camper van. I just want to make it reasonable. It kind of feels very expensive to own one and whatnot, but they just seem like such a great way to get around. And since I travel the province, I haven't been able to convince anybody that instead of me expensing, mileage and the odd flight here and there, let's just get us a camper van and put a sticker on the side. And
yeah, where would you go?
Where would I go? Oh, just somewhere out in nature. Just go.
So you're not going across Canada.
No. Just in BC and Washington State. Just some nice little trips like that. You know, some weekends away. Some reason I just pictured now you having a YouTube channel and a bunch of GoPros in the van, and you're driving across the country, and you're like, Brad, I'm doing it.
Checking out farmers markets along the way.
Well, that's what I figure it could be the work vehicle where I get from point A to point B. I bring my own lodging with me, and then if there needs to be some things that are, the mobile market model could be part of it too.
Mm-hmm.
So
very cool. Was that 1 or 2? I missed. Was that?
That was just 1. Yeah,
that was 1. Sorry.
Number 2, I've had a dream to visit Morocco. And, passed on it one time, but it's still on the list. I think I'll still get there. I got bumped from a flight and got a whole bunch of miles. So they're sitting there with Morocco penciled in beside them. Yeah.
What about Morocco? Why Morocco?
I read Paul Bowles, who was, I think, an English or an American author who happened to be living in Morocco for a long time, maybe even until his death. And his stories were just intriguing and fascinating and painted such a picture that I think maybe I shouldn't go because it probably won't be like that.
Yeah, what do they say? Never meet your idols, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I want to take a moment again to say thank you to each and every one of you for making time for myself this morning and being so open to coming on the show. Peter, you were saying how you were a bit nervous before you came on, but you did amazing. You all sounded great and did so great, and you spoke and articulated things so well. Sandra, you sounded very upbeat and engaging, which I appreciate.
Not monotone at all.
Not monotone at all.
People have told me I'm monotone.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, all you haters out there, stop and see. There you go. Wow. That's the first time we've had that on the show. But I do want to say thank you guys so much for coming on and donating your time today. And I also want to say thank you so much for doing what you do day in and day out, because it truly does make a difference. And you may not know it, but you inspire me. And now I'm sure that you're inspiring a bunch of listeners as well, whether they are in BC or across the country or across the globe, to get involved and make a change and help impacting people outside of maybe their bubble that they're in. And I also think to Peter's point about going on a podcast, doing things that are a bit uncomfortable for you. And I think for a lot of us, general population, it can be uncomfortable to go down to the Greater Vancouver Food Bank, or it can be uncomfortable to ask questions to someone like Sandra and say, why does this exist and how many people use it? But we need to, every once in a while, as a society, I feel, get uncomfortable with the realities that are out there. And only then can we really start making true impact and true change, when we educate ourselves on what the reality is outside of our bubbles. So thank you, the 3 of you, for coming on today and educating me more in regards to what this program is and why it exists. And I cannot wait for August to come and to return to this office, hopefully with a big fat check for you guys to help Sandra and her community and so many others as well. So please, if you're listening, do get involved when tickets go on sale. It'll be on my social media. I'm sure Vancouver Markets will plug it out on theirs as well. But yeah, so get ready for that in August. And before we sign off officially, do the three of you want to say anything? Any other words of wisdom? Any other messages you want to send? I mean, this is a great opportunity because, like I said, we are reaching a very broad audience right now. Is there anything you want to convey to this listening crew?
Gosh, I mean, as much as possible, eat local.
Yeah.
Eat local and support your local farmer, because they need it.
Definitely. Sandra, anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that the funding raised goes not only for Healthiest Babies Possible Youth Pregnancy and Parenting Program, but we also have a program called Building Blocks Vancouver, run through Mosaic, which also supports families with young children, and Circles of Security Early Years Refugee Program as well, supporting families with children under 5.
Amazing. I'm so impressive that you remember all of those words and those names.
I hope I remembered them all.
Yeah, you did great. Peter, any closing words?
Well, if there are 10,000 people around the world, if you're curious about this program, you think it might be something that would work in your community or in your jurisdiction, and please reach out to us. The programs, we're very open about trying to share it. It's not like, oh, we've got this amazing thing, let's just keep it here. We'd like to see something like this work across anywhere that they think it might work. So feel free to reach out to us. If you put our contact details in the show notes.
I will actually, on that point, if people do want to reach out, I know Sandra, you just reached your hand up. Do you want to go before we do the contact stuff?
Oh, yeah, I'm retaking. I said one of the names wrong. It's Circle of Care and Connections Early Years Refugee Program, Mount Pleasant Family Society.
You got it. You got it that time.
Nice. Jen was looking at you got it wrong.
Yeah.
So sorry, if people do want to reach out, Peter, how best they do that?
Sure. Email peter@bcfarmersmarket.org.
Awesome. Sandra, if people want to reach out and find out more about your program, or if they want to impact or volunteer or help, how best they do that?
Our website is www.vch, as in Vancouver Coastal Health, .ca/HBP, for Healthiest Babies Possible, or www.vch.ca/YPPP for the Youth Pregnancy and Parenting Program. Yeah, we are always looking for volunteers, and if you're a pregnant woman that needs help, our referral forms are online as well.
Amazing. Jen, people want to reach out, they want to talk about art, they want to talk about singing, they want to talk about donating to the farmers market, how best they reach you and what you're doing?
I'm Jen, JEN, at eatlocal.org. O-R-G.
Awesome. Okay. I want to say thank you again. The three of you did amazing. I'm so excited to have some synergy here with you all and to be involved with this program. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in as you do week after week. We truly appreciate it. I love you all. And if it wasn't for you, this show would not exist. So thank you for giving your time and attention to programs like this. Until next week, you know what to do. Be good and do good. That's it. We did it.
Thank you.
Now we shake hands. Thank you.
That was awesome.
Yeah, you did great.
Just like the end of a curling match. Right?
Yeah, exactly.